Nowhere left to run.
You've played plenty of first-person VR games and maybe even some third-person ones, but you've never really played anything like Out of Sight. In Out of Sight, you're Sophie, a blinded girl trapped in a rotting orphanage stalked by two creepy old people responsible for plucking out your eyes. But as you noticed, you can still see, all thanks to the teddy bear. Sophie sees through its eyes. When you hold it, first person. When you set it down, second person. That's not just clever, it's unsettling. And if you're into weird, unique horror mechanics like this, maybe hit that like button and let me know if there's anything else quite like it in VR, because I can't think of a whole lot that is. And I'm always on the hunt for great VR games. And a quick shout out to Flat to VR for providing me with the review key to make this video. This game is now available in early access on SteamVR, but soon it's coming to Quest and the PSVR too. Okay, first up, we have the gameplay. Out of Sight is a chilling, narrative-driven puzzle game, and it definitely feels inspired by games like Little Nightmares. The core mechanic in Out of Sight is that blend of first and second person, seeing through the eyes of the teddy bear. It's a cool perspective on the world, and this change in perspective works surprisingly well, and it's a great fit for VR. This game uses VR extremely well without even using motion controls really at all, so bravo. Sophie can't climb, push, or flip switches while holding the bear, so you need to set it down to get to work, but just be quiet about it or you'll get snatched up. The puzzles involve things like pressure plates, moving blocks, climbing, flipping switches, and time sequences, stuff you see in many puzzle games. Often you'll need to reposition the bear, however, and sometimes even several times within a single puzzle to progress all the way to the end. And as far as puzzle difficulty goes, some took a bit more thought than others, but overall they struck a nice balance. On the simple side, but satisfying. Nothing frustrated me, and they do get more complex, especially when the bear starts to move throughout the puzzle. But what really stands out is that second person perspective. It's used creatively throughout the game, often requiring you to reposition the bear to unlock new angles or reveal hidden solutions. But sometimes the chase becomes just a little bit more intense. And a handful of times, something will grab the bear and it's off to the races. And these high action sequences are a nice change of pace from the game's puzzles, and they keep the mood tense. These were my favorite moments in Out of Sight. You can see a bit of one on screen here, but don't worry, I'm not going to spoil anything here. Not long into the game, Sophie's silent companion gains the magical ability to break certain objects, which does add a nice twist. At times, Out of Sight feels almost like a self-co-op game, perhaps similar to Moss, with Sophie and the bear working together to escape. It's a clever mechanic, though I wish it had been just a little bit more fleshed out. And while that second person perspective is used extremely well, I couldn't shake the feeling that the game could have pushed it just a bit further, maybe a couple more puzzle mechanics, or just a few more standout sequences. It would have gone a long way. There are some really creative moments though that lean into that unique perspective, and those parts really do shine. I just wish the game had doubled down on them. Out of Sight took me roughly 4 hours to beat, so while it is very memorable, it is also a tad on the short side. And there is some replayability in collectibles, but not a whole lot. Okay, now onto the story. The story is surprisingly strong. It's backed by excellent voice acting and chilling environmental storytelling. You really root for Sophie here. She's both courageous and terrified, clinging to hope in a hopeless place. One could even say that she found love in a hopeless place. Okay, back to review, sorry. She's constantly talking to her teddy bear as she navigates this sadistic house, and it gives the whole thing a nice personal touch and emotional edge. My heart went out to her, and you really hate those caretakers. They're downright creepy and are always menacing, breaking down doors and sending chills down your spine. Okay, now onto visuals and sound. Out of Sight just nails the atmosphere. The art style is haunting. The lighting sets the mood wonderfully, and the sound design ties it all together to send chills down your spine. It's well done. As far as the scary stuff goes, I didn't find this game particularly scary, but it is creepy and chilling. I would maybe give it a 4 or 5 out of 10 on the scare factor chart. It has some hair-raising moments, but it's a very approachable horror game overall. The game also uses scale wonderfully. You feel small and tiny, and you're hiding in all these places, and the world just is massive around you, which is something that's always a huge strength to VR. Okay, it's time to nitpick just a little bit. While the atmosphere is wonderful, the game could have done more with shadows. Sophie, she doesn't have one. The old folks do, but they aren't used effectively. I wish there were some creepy moving shadows to directly tell the story or crank up that horror mood. But even without it, it's still an eerie experience. The game is also very corridor heavy. It could have used some more bigger open areas and less creeping around in vents and the cracks between walls. And after time, it feels like these just become tunnels to the next puzzle or set piece. Performance-wise, the game could use probably a bit of optimization. It's not bad, but there were a few areas that seemed to tax my system more than they should have. But hey, it is an early access, and I didn't need to run the game all maxed out. Okay, verdict time. Do I recommend Out of Sight? Yes, I do. I thoroughly enjoyed the experience from start to finish, even with its minor gripes. This may be a wait for sale for some due to the length, but overall I enjoyed my time with it, and I would love to see them make a sequel that leans further into its unique mechanics. And that's it for today's video. If you found it helpful, let me know in the comments. I try to respond to as many of them as I can, and only about 5% of my viewers are subscribed. So if you're in the other 95%, well, you know what to do. Join the crew. Hit the subscribe button and help the channel grow. It really does make a huge difference. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.